Man, there are a lot of buttons to press here. So hopefully everybody can see inflammation, pain, and trauma, and the importance of maybe using the WAVwatch, something that you might learn today about that for this particular application. So the latest WAVwatch has 1,000 frequencies on it to correct imbalances in your body. And I think you'll see today when I finish this that so many of them are connected to inflammation, pain, and trauma. So it doesn't matter whether it's your pet or your child or you're a veteran or a woman. We are veteran and a woman, either way. We have lots of health problems today in the US. And I was kind of surprised how many problems are connected with inflammation, pain, and trauma. And just to remind you, when you get your WAVwatch, if you've already ordered one and have one, most of you are users, but we always have some quite a variety of people that come on. But we do have the handbook. We've got the WAVwatch with a wristband on it. We have a separate screen protector, and you do have to peel off this little plastic piece right here and then peel this one off and then put them together and soothe them out to keep the bubbles out of them. We also have a charging cord and a block, plus another wristband and a case to carry that in. So you should be getting all of those when you order one. And of course, I do have to give you my disclaimer once in a while. This is not used as a tool to diagnose medically. You are your own self-care person. And we want to encourage you to use good health and try to minimize the risk of some chronic conditions and ease that by balancing your body just a little bit. So I can't use the word diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any medical condition. You all know about all those words and what you can and cannot say. So it's not a licensed medical product, and these acoustical frequencies are considered experimental, although sound frequencies have been around since the beginning of time, as we all know. I had a new testimony that came in, and I just put a picture here. Obviously, it's not the person that sent the testimony in, but the email that was sent out was, had you had any results with the WAVwatch? And Daniel said it was hard to say, but he thinks so, you know. So his message was he's 75 years old. He's half crippled by 2 cysts on his spinal cord. Restless leg problems haunt me almost every night. Some go on 4 to 5 hours. The WAVwatch has stopped many of them in their tracks. Saw you on the Michael Jaco show and have been trying Lyme all the way through. So I thought that was one to share. You know, the WAVwatch has stopped some of his problems in a track. So that's what we want to do, is be able to help relieve some problems with people. It's so important. We have so many health problems that are piling up. So the WAVwatch has 1,000 selections. And just to remind you, it's got 3 swipe screens. Some people call and they still are not realizing that they can swipe horizontally and see 3 different screens. And then there's 4 ways to repeat a frequency. And at this point, we have 3 playlists that you can make for yourself. But these swipe screens already have playlists on them. So like the detox is a playlist. The emotions is a playlist. Chronic has a lot of the ideas in it, but once you open it up, it can be used as a playlist also. So I'm not too worried about you having 15 or 20 playlists. I've already created them for you. So try to use some of these icons, just play them from start to finish. And then the last idea is it's not necessary to hear, but set it on 4 to 8 for the sound volume. I believe it goes up to 31 or 32. And it can be very soft. You don't have to hear it. It's irritating. I'll tell you that. I don't want to hear it. I want it to feel it. And there's our inflammation, pain, and trauma. So you're going to turn it down. So you can see why you don't want to hear that sound. You want to turn it down. So the most important frequency set, in my opinion, and it always has been, is inflammation, pain, and trauma. And I actually put that front and center. I put it in the very first icon, which is labeled chronic, and it's the very top. It's out of alphabetical order. Sorry, that's just, I guess I decided it would be more prominent that way. And then the very first paragraph that describes the sound frequencies, which is in the booklet. You can kind of see this here. I put it on the screen, but the very first paragraph says, if you do not have a specific concern, start with inflammation, pain, and trauma. Then if you haven't seen this, I suggest that you go ahead and start with the parasite combo, the whole detox category, and also emotions. These are the areas that we're missing the most in our self-care. And I just read that because some of you are not seeing it in the booklet. So this is why I think inflammation, pain, and trauma is the most important frequency set, because all of these ideas are affected. Inflammation is at the root of practically all known chronic health conditions. So see if I can hide my chart here. There we go. So inflammation is going to affect our brain, affect our thyroid, our lungs, cardiovascular, muscle, GI tract, bones, kidneys, skin, and liver. And this is from drjockers.com. Wanted to give him credit for this amazing chart. So this is how bad inflammation is. It can affect anything and everything all over our body. And these are the sad stats about it. In 2000, nearly 125 million Americans were living with chronic conditions, and 61 million had more than one. Now look at that. That's almost 25 years ago. They don't have new stats, it doesn't seem like. That's all I can find. And in 2014, 60% of Americans had one chronic condition, 42% had more than one, and 12% of adults had 5 or more chronic conditions. Do you think it's gotten any better? I wish I could see y'all. I'd have you have a show of hands. You know, I'm a former teacher, and hand showing is pretty amazing sometimes. And what we're seeing just obviously is that we're not getting better, we're getting worse. There are more and more problems going on. So I just touched the tip by telling you that 125 million Americans, you know, it could be much, much worse now. And then worldwide, 3 of 5 people die due to chronic inflammatory diseases. So they're saying stroke, chronic respiratory problems, heart disorders, cancer, obesity, diabetes, and the list does go on and on. Alzheimer's is on a few other lists. So this is why I consider inflammation, pain, and trauma the biggest tie-ins and the quickest thing that you can use if you're having a problem. Now, I did find something that kind of bothered me. I'm not sure if it would be right or wrong, because there were a couple of different ideas. But one source, which was I gave you below, the NIH government, site, said that there are no tests for chronic inflammation. And it says unfortunately, there are no highly effective laboratory measures to assess chronic inflammation. And diagnosis is only undertaken when the inflammation occurs with another medical condition. So if you've got diabetes, they can tell you a little bit about inflammation. Or if you have heart problems, they can tell you about inflammation. But evidently, they're not real thrilled with some of their tests. So that was one idea that I found. And then the opposite idea is saying that now they have a few more tools, maybe, so that there are some tools to measure some specific ideas. But again, they kind of wait until you come in with a specific type of health problem, and then they assess your inflammation. So they do have low-grade inflammation markers, and they're measuring C-reactive protein, cytokines, T lymphocytes, natural killer cells, but they don't just do that as a matter of course, is what I'm understanding. Now, please correct me if I'm wrong because I don't go to medical doctors very often. So, and things change. There are new tests and new tools, but that's what I found with my search today, yesterday and today. But again, usually they're going to assess your inflammation when you have a known problem. But I want to tell you and share with you today a little bit more about thermography. What about that? It's a test that uses an infrared camera to detect heat patterns and blood flow. Wow, does that sound like inflammation, heat patterns? So you can look for thermography clinics in your area. And I have a thermography clinic. BrasThermography.com has several locations, so you can look that up. But basically, it uses a far infrared camera on a stand, and then it's tied into a computer system and software, and it takes those images. And so there's no pain or pressure or radiation. So I use it for women's breast health very specifically. And some of you may remember that I started this clinic when both my mother and sister were diagnosed with breast cancer at the same time. And so I did want to share that with you. But this is what is so interesting. This pulvitis was not detected by other tests. So whatever the medical community had did not see this, but taking an image with an infrared camera, vascular pain and inflammation can be shown very graphically with the tool that I use. It's called a Metatherm digital infrared thermal imaging camera. So this is one image of why I wanted to show you about thermography if you haven't caught up with some of those ideas, because it does show inflammation. And some people come in and they really look inflamed from head to toe. So here's some other images that this is from slideshare.net. I didn't take all of these. I've taken lots of them that look just like this. But you can see inflammation very easily. And then there is one on the right side, on the top upper. I'm kind of circling it here. It doesn't look like it's inflamed. It looks like that person's really cold. And that is actually really true. So when we have this cold blue spot right on this T2 area, that's another indication that somebody's immune system is all messed up. So we see hots and colds, and all of those are diagnosed by medical doctors. We are just photographers, if you will, taking those images for the doctors to interpret. So all of this inflammation is just easily to see within, as soon as the picture's up, you can see where the inflammation is. So I think it might be obvious, but just in case I need to, go over this, white is the hottest, and red, oranges, and yellows, are temperatures going down. And then the blues, greens, and yellows are another temperature scale. So that kind of shows you where the heat is right away. Just go to the white area. That's the hottest spot. That's the most inflamed area. And this is all about inflammation. So you can see with the fibromyalgia tendencies and problems like this. And I did forget to mention, when you're looking at these, if a person has this blue area right here, a lot of times their thyroid is messed up. So when they swivel and you take a picture of their thyroid, you'll see some problems with their thyroid. So those two definitely go hand in hand. And you can just see easily why I like the thermography for the inflammation. So here's some other images too. And so these are from metatherm.com. And again, the white is the hottest area, but all of this is inflamed. So, when somebody's so inflamed, it's very visual for them, and they can know that they have done something that might change it. So, this is one on the cheek that I really like, especially to show problems here. And a lot of people have shoulder pain, and they're not even realizing how much of a problem that they have until they see this image. Now, I did have one lady And I didn't have permission to use her images at this point. I didn't even try, but just wanted to tell you that she was really inflamed almost from head to toe. She was very, very bad. And her thyroid was problematic. And when she got her thyroid functioning correctly, all of the inflammation went away. And that was a very big celebration day for her to come in and see the changes from one set of images where she was inflamed. And then she worked on her thyroid and, went to different places and got help with that. And when that thyroid cleaned up, the image could be seen correctly and very easily. So just an idea on acute inflammation. Our bodies use it to survive. So when we have a problem with acute inflammation, we've had an injury usually or an infection. Then we're going to have some pain, some redness, some swelling, some heat that tells us. And we know, usually when we've been hurt or when we've been bit, that kind of thing. So this inflammation fights off microbes, repairs damaged tissue. But if it keeps working and sending out these inflammatory cells, then you're heading into chronic inflammation. You're becoming one of the millions of people that might have more than 5 types of chronic inflammation. So this inflammation can be from toxins, stress, smoking, not doing enough exercise, obesity. The list goes on and on for ways that we can be things that can attribute to inflammation. Now, I tried to kind of find a slide for you from the medical community, and I had a little bit of problems because it was repetition, it was exercise, it was just kind of covered this. It's like, don't smoke, don't be stressed, lose weight, exercise. And that was all that they would give for ideas on cleaning up your body and inflammation. So, we hear that time and time again, but most of us want more ideas. We want to know what we can do. All of us are not able to exercise like we want. We may have some handicaps. We may not be able to do that. Food is different. We can watch that just a little bit, but I can't say that just because I clean up my diet a little bit, that my inflammation is going to go away. So if you're like me, you're looking for some ideas because you don't want any of these diseases that are coming up on the screen, like I'm showing you. These are a little bit scary, chronic inflammation. Wow. Should I stop and let anybody comment? I've been kind of talking quite a bit, but look at this list. I'll leave it up for you to see. Certain cancers, rheumatoid arthritis, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, Crohn's disease, inflammatory bowel disease, asthma, COPD, mental health problems, depression, anxiety. They didn't mention PTSD, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. All of these can start with chronic inflammation. It could be as simple as your body getting out of whack because it was fighting a cut. And then it just continued to fight and fight and fight. And your body did not stop until you developed some of these problems. This chronic inflammation can progress very silently. These are just some more thermogram pictures I could share with you. But we don't know that we have it sometimes. That's why I like the imaging from the thermography so much. I had a lady come in one time and I did a face picture of her, and it was just absolutely bright red. The whole face was completely red. And when we talked with each other about her history, she said she had been diagnosed with mercury poisoning from her fillings. And so I have seen that several other times now. Women who have mercury overload, their faces are completely red hot, inflamed. So very interesting what we can see with a thermography camera. Now, I don't know if you've had any of these problems. Abdominal pain, chest pain. I hate to just read things off, but you can read along with me, or comment if anybody wants to. Skin rashes, again, the diarrhea, constipation, weight gain, frequent infections, fevers, joint pain, stiffness, fatigue, insomnia. This can all cause chronic inflammation, which then circles you right around to some other chronic type disease. So it is huge for us to get inflammation under control. So I hope that you run the inflammation, pain, and trauma settings as much as you can. If you don't know what to run those. Those are some good ideas. Now, we are not realizing that trauma and PTSD contribute to low-grade inflammation. I think that's what people are really waking up to see, is that all the stress that we've had in the last couple of years has actually added to our immune problems and our inflammation problems. And so this is just a title. I just took the title because I thought it said everything. Dysregulation of the stress response system makes PTSD a mind-body condition. So trauma, PTSD, and chronic low-grade inflammation go hand in hand. So that's why when I created the WAVwatch, the inflammation and pain were front and center, but I learned the importance of trauma. And I was able to put those three frequencies together into one frequency set so that it's actually going through all of those ideas at the same time. And I think that's why it is my favorite frequency set. And it's the one that I probably get the most comments on from people that they ran inflammation, pain, and trauma. Now, I couldn't have done the thermography any better. This was one of my clients, and I didn't realize what I was doing probably at the time. I had a WAVwatch on her, and we were using it for PTSD. She was an 82, 84-year-old woman. And I know I've shown these pictures before, but this is just the perfect way to show you again. So here she is, all inflamed, very inflamed. And we ran the second picture, took the second picture after she had worn the prototype of the WAVwatch for about 30 minutes. And you can see how drastically her inflammation has changed right through here. And then 30 minutes later, we took the third picture that you're seeing. And you can see here is visual representation. I don't know if I can say proof or not, but images showing that her inflammation did change within a 30-minute period. It was the most drastic change in the first 30 minutes. So it was very good. This is PTSD. PTSD inflames us. So I don't know how that information could be any better. And then I took this second set of images of her at the same time. Of course, she just rotated. Plus, I was running the inflammation, pain, and trauma frequencies. And here's the first 30 minutes, or what she looked like to start with. And then in 30 minutes later, the inflammation had really changed. And then the last 30 minutes to total an hour. So within an hour, with the inflammation, pain, and trauma, and the PTSD specifically, because that's what she told me she had. And if you remember this example, she said that PTSD was probably from her great grandchildren. So I have to kind of take a deep breath. I don't have any great grandchildren yet, but that was quite the testimony that she worried about them all the time and evidently stressed herself out. Now, what can we do besides the WAVwatch? It's very simple. There's just 3 frequencies there. There's an extra frequency for inflammation, there's another one for pain, and then there's all kinds of emotional remedies. And so you can take your pick and play through those any way that you want. But again, you could see how easily 30 minutes of just inflammation, pain, and trauma made changes in someone's inflammation. But you can also make sure that you have plenty of magnesium, that your vitamin C, D, and E are correct, and that you're taking those. That your curcumin, you can take curcumin and omega-3s. So this was in medical news today. So we do need to take some supplements. We need to take some minerals, especially. And we should be fighting inflammation with that. I also think that essential oils can be very, very good. So I did find this recipe, and it's from livewellzone.com. Many people use essential oils right now. And don't forget that they're just a step away from the WAVwatch. We measured the frequencies of different plants. We have those, and those are on the WAVwatch. And so you can use those, or you may already have your own supply of essential oils. And here's one that you could use for pain and inflammation. So it works very well. And several people like to make their own remedies with different blends. And you can find these recipes all over the internet. It's not a big deal to make sure that you are using essential oils. And so when I travel, I have my own, case of essential oils, especially thieves, and the WAVwatch. Those are my takeaways. I'm not a person that's carrying around aspirin and, all of those over-the-counter medicines when I travel. It's much easier to me to travel with essential oils and the WAVwatch. And then here's another one that I found that was really easy. And this one was written up. This is created by Healing Lotus Aromatherapy. And she just had a list of the anti-inflammatory oils. And that was a good way to show those to you. So thyme and clove, rose, eucalyptus, fennel, and bergamot. So those were the ones that were written up in a research study. The Journal of Lipid Research found that 6 essential oils were responsible for suppressive activity for inflammation. And don't forget, I thought this was good information at the bottom. List of inflammation-induced health concerns is a long one. And this adds a few more ideas that we may not have connected. Allergies, asthma, osteoporosis, rheumatoid arthritis, gout, psoriasis, lupus, inflammatory bowel disease, Alzheimer's disease, heart attack, congestive heart failure, bronchitis, and diabetes. That was hard to read. Is there anything that inflammation is not behind? Do you see why I'm telling you that inflammation, pain, and trauma are so important? And why that's, to me, the most important frequency on the WAVwatch. Now we could kind of wrap this up. Of course, you want to change your food a little bit. There's ginger's good, peppermint, cloves. Again, these are some things that they made into essential oils. Oatmeal is supposed to be good for endometrial pain. Turmeric, grapes. Give your back some TLC with organic grapes. I'm not sure I had heard that one before. I just like this chart. And this is Phila Holistic Clinic is the one that provided this chart. So I think that I've kind of talked really quick and
You're doing great.
and
Maybe we can
I'm
see if
kind of
people have
done.
some questions or
So I'm
comments or
actually open for comments now. I felt like I was going so fast and everybody was so quiet.
well, I could throw in something when you were talking about trauma. I remember reading a study a while back, and I can find it, but it was saying that um, one of the key indicators of overall longevity and health was childhood trauma. And that just affects so many things in our bodies that we don't realize. We don't realize the strength of the emotional health, connected to our bodies, but also just a suggestion that if you've been through trauma, definitely play the frequencies on the watch, but also to get help from a counselor or, a professional in that area, because unresolved trauma can have lots of negative effects on your body. And
I
probably
think,
related to a stress response, right? The inflammation, response,
right.
elevated cortisol, all those things that we know that are not helpful. It's like your body's on a permanent fight or flight, and that's not healthy at all.
Exactly. That's the correct wording. It's on a permanent fight or flight. So we do have a couple questions, and Jerry is saying, how are these frequencies determined? These frequencies have been measured over 100-year period. They started, most Tesla measured some frequencies, and then Dr. Royal Raymond Rife measured a lot of the frequencies, and his work was actually destroyed. So there's quite a history there if you haven't learned about Rife, and you can look that up in many places on the internet. But most of his tools that he developed were destroyed, except, one, somehow it survived some way. And so the frequencies were retained that he measured. And so basically, there are frequencies in a book. You can get a book about this thick that has the frequencies in it for almost anything. And then you can also find frequencies on the internet. And, you can go at any time to the internet and say, 432 frequency. And there might be a song that's generated if you would like to listen to that one. And so you can do some of your own research. So they were measured over 100 years ago. And do you want me to just keep answering some questions? It's hard to know how long to wear the WAVwatch. You can wear, a lot of people just keep it on. Like I took mine off this morning. I was, going to show it to you this way, I guess. But a lot of people keep them on all day long. They may not be running, but they would be on so that they can run them at will when they do need, if they have a headache or, that kind of thing. How do we know if the trauma is gone, if it's latent? I think that my son gave you a good idea. It's a really good idea to run all of the emotional frequencies and the inflammation, pain, and trauma. And then you still might want to seek professional help, a psychiatrist, psychologist, something along those lines to make sure that that trauma is gone because it can hang on for a long time. So many different ways to do that. Vienna uh, Anna Smith Dunham. I don't know if you're on today, but she does a lot of work with the emotional code and she does it online. So there are some new techniques out there that people work with for emotions. Okay, and someone had a question about mycotoxin detoxification. And yes, there is a specific setting. It is under the germ and bug type folder. You look in there, and there is one for molds and toxins. Okay. And Jerry's asking again, how did they determine it by the conditions? Jerry, I think that's something that's fascinated me, how they were able to get all of these measured in particular, because I've always wondered, well, how do they measure the frequency of a virus? They have some very amazing tools, and I have shown those particular tools before on different programs, but Someone asked and said that they hadn't had any result with their knees and hip pain. I would actually try some of the viral frequencies too. And I don't know if you've tried just inflammation, pain, and trauma also for Brian. The sound does not matter. If you want to try it higher, you can, but it usually you want it to be absorbed into your body. The trauma coach would be Vienna Smith Dunham. And Joseph, do you have Vienna's email that you could put
Yes,
in this?
I can send that privately to Jerry.
Okay.
Yep. Um, Also, I was thinking here, we've got a few questions. Oh, somebody raised their hand. Should we
Oh,
have a few people that,
yes.
if people
Yes,
want
I'm
to
sorry. I
jump in
didn't
here
know that.
and,
I hadn't seen
oh no,
anybody.
I was just Ruth Donovan, and she raised her hand. And if we had people that wanted to maybe share a story about, inflammation, pain, or trauma, we could bring you in just to chat. But Ruth, we can bring you in to ask your question if that's what you're hoping for. If not, you can just type it.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
My question is about my battery. What I've been doing is I'll charge it first thing in the morning when I get up, and I've had it running all night on some of the long programs, and it needs to be charged in the morning. So I'll do that, and then I'll run it off and on during the day, but then it seems to get lower again toward the end of the day. Is that typical for it to need to be charged twice, once in the morning and once at night?
It depends on the watch that you have. The earlier ones, the batteries were a little bit shorter time. And yes, you'd probably have to charge them twice. But some of the latest ones that we have put out, we were able to get better, longer lasting batteries. So my apologies for that. But
Okay.
yes.
Well, I
Yeah.
started with 850 and then got the thing to insert it for 1,000. So I have the older battery, I mean, the older
Yeah.
watch.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and one thing we could say here is, the more you use a device with a battery, the more that battery will degrade over time. So, a lot of people do want to use the WaveWatch 24/7, but that will wear the battery out a little quicker. And I would say we've all discussed this as a team. It's not necessarily designed for 24/7 use. So
Okay.
I would kind of, figure out if you want to wear it more at night and just occasionally throughout the day, or if you want to wear it more during the day. That's my recommendation. But if John or Linda have other ideas, chime in.
So if I need to get a different battery, do I mail it back to you or what do I do?
Yeah, you can contact our support team and they'd be happy to do a battery. We have a policy, depending on how old your watch is, we can replace for free if it's below. But yours, if it's running through the full night, that's actually pretty good capacity. But if you just wanted them to upgrade to a newer battery, there's a small fee for that, but they can definitely do that. Just email info@wavwatch.com with your order number. Yeah,
Okay.
and the email's on the
Then,
booklet, and we'd be happy to
Oh,
help.
okay. Okay.
yeah.
Well,
Thanks, Ruth.
I would
Yeah.
hate to send it back to you. I don't want to be without it. I've gotten real
Well,
attached to it.
yeah,
I
well,
sound
just
like I could be a salesperson and somebody says, that's why you have two of them.
Yeah.
And I have had several people say that, and it was really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they didn't want to be without it. So you just never know. Everybody has a different budget, but that was, I thought, a very unique way to think about it.
Well, thank you for everything.
thanks for your question. Anybody else have a question or a testimonial or want to share? We do have several new Q&A questions that we could answer as well, Linda, if you wanted to do that.
Okay.
One about,
Neuroinflammation conditions. Scott has been asking, is it what programs might be best for neuroinflammation in conditions such as autism, PANS, PANDAS, etc. Again, that would be the inflammation, pain, and trauma. It covers so much of it. Then the detoxification, and then playing some type of parasites, viruses, bacteria. All of those are very, very good for those type of ideas. Um, Detoxification can't be overstated, especially when you're talking about autism and some of those ideas. So Someone asked, is it typical for symptoms to be worse while wearing it? I have not heard that a lot. Now myself, I mean, I've had it for several years. I think I did make myself sick the other day. I went somewhere and was exposed to mold in, I guess it was October, and thought I had it all taken care of, but I decided I'd do a night of just mold detoxification, and I had some problems in the bathroom the next day, but that's the first reaction I've really had that was, a negative one, except for the story I tell a lot about a viral reaction, but not necessarily. If you are feeling that you're getting worse, you could stop it, give your body a break, then try it again for a shorter period of time. But if you are having a reaction to something, that's usually telling you that it's doing some good, it's doing some work, doing some kind of changes and rebalancing in your system. Martha L. asked, please repeat the order of frequencies you recommend for everyone in general. And this is in the booklet. And you just have to turn to page 6 in the booklet. And it's this paragraph right here. I can never do anything backwards. There it is. It should show it to you. It's this paragraph right here. And it says, if you do not have a specific concern, start with inflammation, pain, and trauma, then follow with parasite combo, and then the whole detox category, and then emotions. So you have it right here. Just read this first paragraph. Yes, and Scott is asking a question, some testimonials about tinnitus. Tinnitus has been actually a harder one to work with. I think I only maybe have a 50% turnaround in tinnitus, or tinnitus, as some people call it. Some people get instant results, and some people do not get results. So that tells you probably that something else is going on besides that particular ear problem, that you might need to do some more inflammation, pain, and trauma ideas, that you might need to run viruses, that you might need to detox a little bit more. That one is not as good a testimony as like kidney stones. I think we're batting 99% on kidney stones, basically. And I should not be making it sound like that's a cure. I'm just saying that the testimonies, people are really coming up with a lot of testimonies on kidney stones and lower testimonies on tinnitus. So that is a harder one, and you would work through a few more ideas. And the watch can be used while you're sleeping, obviously. And I used it last night for sleep disorders. That's the one I chose. And I do muscle testing and pick which one to run at night. And so you can do the same kind of thing. Okay. Gina asked if a little bit more information about chemicals, that she has an extreme sensitivity. I run the chemical detox, airborne, and allergy. Any other? I would make sure you're running the whole detox category and detoxing your organs. So go to the organ category, make sure you're cleaning out your liver, you're cleaning out your kidney, you're cleaning out your lymph nodes. Those are the ones that have to be pushing and moving things through your system so that it doesn't begin to pile up. So you may have tried that already, Gina, but that's just what I can see off the top of my head. Okay. Audrey asked about, she has occasional nausea and vomiting from mold exposure, and and does say it's part of the detoxing. And yes, I experienced that too. Yes. Neil is saying, I use the gum frequency and now I don't need gum grafts since the gums are no longer receded. This has saved me $3,000 in needed gum grafts. There is a payback with the watch. Oh, Neil, thank you for that. That's really exciting. Wow. So, um, very, very good testimony. Anybody else? I think we're kind of winding down here. If somebody would like to say something. I've had so many testimonies on inflammation, pain, and trauma, but maybe we just don't have the people on today that have those actual testimonies to give us live. But tons and tons of pain has gone away just playing the first one. Judy did ask if there is a resource on video or video on muscle testing. And yes, we have that up there. It's one of our 70 plus video presentations. And you should be able to look on Facebook, the WAVwatch Frequency Fanatics, where we're recording this. And you should be able to look or just type in the topic muscle testing and find that particular one. And you can also do that on the internet. There's quite a few teaching programs on muscle testing. Another person is asking about what can I do to regain my sense of taste? We do have that in the brain folder, and it is in seniors. And so I have played that myself. I was playing the seniors brain folder recently because it has people recall, name recall, sense of smell, anxiety disorders, dementia, smell, clarity, and taste disorders. So those are all woven into one brain folder that might be very easy for you to use. Oh, a question, where do you physically put the watch on a dog? It depends on your dog. I do not know. I think at the start you might have seen that we had a picture of a dog with, it just around its front paw, and it was, pretty depressed, is what my assistant said, and it had hurt itself, and so it was just pretty nonchalant, just laying around and not moving much. But if your dog's going to be moving around, it could be very hard to do. So the easiest idea to me is to put it on a counter, a shelf of some kind, and the dog will usually come up and sit by it. If you are trusting that your dog won't break it, you could put it on its collar. You have to just kind of think it through. Every animal is a little bit different. And you may have missed the picture. Someone shared with us a horse that they actually strapped the WAVwatch to the, it wasn't a saddle, but they had kind of a blanket with a strap around it. And they put that WAVwatch in that strap area. And evidently the horse stood still. And they used it for 5 times, I believe they said. And the horse's problems with its teeth cleaned up. They were playing dental ideas. And it couldn't chew and eat its hay. And after putting it on the horse for about 5 times, which I don't know how long each time was, but the horse was able to eat correctly. Kim has a question. Have you had any feedback on pituitary adenoma? I have not. Do not know on that one. Okay. I think I missed a couple questions. Maybe they've already gotten answered, but I really, we do have suggestions for pathogens. I would go to pathogens and make sure you're playing through those. That is kind of a precancerous type folder. Try that. There are also some pituitary frequencies. And those are, I think, in the immune system and also in weight loss, believe it or not. Someone asked, can you tell me what they use for gum receding? There is a specific frequency. The newer watches have that. I was able to find that frequency and add it. Okay. Jerry, you're asking some fun questions today. Are there any future plans for a device to be used remotely? I'm having a hard time with that because remotely signifies to me that there's a lot of internet connectivity there, and I'm not quite sure about that, but my sons are helping me learn some more ideas on what do you call it, John? You describe it.
Well, low EMF ways to connect with either NFC or Bluetooth, but it wouldn't be continual. But Jerry, can you clarify what you mean by remote, helping somebody remotely? I would be curious to know what your thought is. And we do have a new question about a bacterial sinus infection. There's a strep staph file, or there's some other ones that you would recommend?
And I wouldn't just pick one out. I would pick all of them. I would run through and make a loop with all of the ideas on staph and strep, or play those specifically because there's different versions of staph and strep, as you know, and it's hard to know which one. So it's going to take you 8 minutes to play, a different one. You do need to run the watch on a volume. If you have it turned to 0, it's really not vibrating or doing anything. To me, it's the same thing as it being off. So it should have a volume to it. So, but several people who have set the WAVwatch on a counter for their dog to hear, they said it was really relaxing for the dog. They didn't mind it at all. And then cats, I was really surprised. Those many cats like the frequency sound. They would actually come up to the person who actually was wearing the WAVwatch and sit on their lap, and they weren't that kind of a cat that would normally do that, so cats like the sound also. There, it doesn't need to be on, it should not be on 0. Yes, there's a frequency for digestion. You just go to the whole digestion folder inside organs. And so Jerry was just saying for people outside of town who don't have a watch, and so probably for them at this point in time, the best thing is to go on the internet and just introduce them to frequencies, and say, hey, there's just go to YouTube and dial in, solfeggio frequencies or chakras if they like chakras, and they can play through those. That they could get them online already. But again, I have reservations.
The watch is definitely the best way to deliver these frequencies in a really simple format that's tailor made for people, for sure. So.
Okay, I think I've kind of talked enough today. Any other comments, or anybody like to give a testimony or share anything? Other than that, I think we are about to wind up, and we did our hour today, didn't we? Dental is in pain. It's in the pain folder. Someone asked about where dental was. It is in the pain folder. All right. Thanks everybody for coming. Don't mean to bore you. Hope you got the gist of the idea about why inflammation, pain, and trauma is so important.
Give me 1 second here. I'm going to paste the link to all the recordings in the chat. So I have put it, but just if anybody wants this recording, I'm going to put the full link in the chat so you guys can grab that before we close.
And Neil added to his testimony, thank you so much. When running the watch for gums, I also ran the dental frequencies, and it seems it has improved my teeth, which have been deteriorating. If this works, it will save $30,000. It's a little bit different on everybody. Mine are starting to get pretty crooked. Can't do that. But I do feel that my gums have cleaned up and things also, like Neil with the WAVwatch. And then don't forget the bones. So you could go into the bone folder if you're having some dental problems, also for building up your bones.
Absolutely. And just a reminder that somebody in the Q&A had asked earlier, can we play one frequency too much? And I always suggest, just like Linda said, everything's related. So dental pain can be related to lots of even to inflammation, pain, and trauma, but play the dental folder, play the bones. So Sonia, you still can't find the ones for gums. It's the dental folder under pain. If you have an older watch, it may not have those. So you can upgrade to the 1,000 frequency card, and that would give you the dental folder. All right.
Yes.
And
I think the gums 1 and 2 were newer ones on the 1,000 frequency. Yep. It does have gingivitis. That'd be about as close as we could get, but gums specifically.
So Sonia does have the new watch. So yeah, then just look for the dental folder under pain. Thanks everybody for joining. Great to see you all. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Be safe.